The 2000s was the golden age of DC Comics, man. The 2000s, bro. Like everything with DC during that time period, or I should say that decade, was just too fire, bro. Let's first start off with the animated shows that they were like releasing during the 2000s, man. So, animated shows, bro. They're like one of the best pieces of media out there, whether it be anime, bro, cartoons, all that stuff, man. And DC was dropping some bangers during the 2000s, dog. Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, Teen Titans, bro, Legion of Superheroes. That's a very underrated one for those that don't know about it, bro. The Batman, like so many shows were dropping during that time period. And what made the 2000 shows for like that were like being made by DC at that time period so good was the fact that not only were they action packed, right, but the storytelling in them was fire, bro. Like the Cadmus arc has to be one of my favorite animated like arcs from any DC show, bro. Like it was too good. Static Shock, bro. It don't matter what episode you were watching of Static Shock during that time period, bro. Each episode resonated with you, bro. They always tackled a different, a different like major thing that happens in the world, man. Like it was so good there too. And then the Teen Titans cartoon from 2003, bro. Legendary show, bro. We already know why. Robin, he was certified in that show. Not just that, bro. The amount of appearances we got from other Teen Titans too, like Kid Flash, Speedy, Aqualad, Bumblebee, man. Like that show was the pinnacle of DC animation at the time, man. The Batman from 2004, bro, has to be one of the most underrated versions of Batman ever, bro. Like I love that show so much, man. Batman in that show was fire, dude. And not just that, bro. The amount of guest appearances that we got from other characters in that show too, like Green Arrow, Superman, The Flash, Barry Allen, Hal Jordan. It was too good, man. Like another thing I liked about the animated shows from that time period is the fact that in every show, right, they always made sure to have a guest character, man. Like it was too good, man. But like DC was like in this golden age during that time period with its animated shows, right? Like they couldn't do nothing wrong with their shows at the time, man. Each one of them was a certified banger, man. And then besides that, man, the movies too. Even the movies were like spectacular during that time period. The Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, man, like the first two that came out during that decade, man, like the first one and then the Dark Knight in 2008, those are like hood classics right there, man. Like they're too good, bro. Like DC could do no wrong during that decade, man. Their comics too, man. Their comics were like legit during that time period, bro. You had Superman, you had Batman, under the Red Hood, like you had the different crises that were happening at the time. The Flash was Wally West, and he was doing really well during that time period as the main version of the Flash. You had Hal Jordan that came back as the main Green Lantern, and thanks to him becoming the main Green Lantern again, we got the hit series Green Lantern Rebirth, then Blackest Night, all kinds of amazing stuff. Sinestro Core Warps, so many good stuff around that time period, man. Even the video games were like insane, bro. Like DC, man, I really wish that today's DC and like adaptation wise would go on a run that was as amazing as the 2000s run, because they were going crazy during that decade, man. Like they could do no wrong with their animated stuff, man. And speaking of their animated stuff, their animated movies were fire too, bro. Like each year they were dropping a new animated movie, bruh. The amount of Superman animated movies we got in that decade was fire, man. Superman Doomsday, which was an adaptation of his legendary death against Doomsday in the 90s, man. The amount of Green Lantern movies we got during that time period too, because of how popular the character was getting in the comics, thanks to Jeff Johns' revival of Hal Jordan, right? And then even Wonder Woman was getting her own animated movie around that time period, bro. Like, and that is still the best Wonder Woman movie, in my opinion, out of all the ones she's had since then. The first two in the DCEU, and then the one during the DC animated universe. That one, the 2009 one, is still the coldest movie of her ever, bro. I love that movie so much, man. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? Even Batman too. Batman, he is DC's cash cow, right? But even then, bro, the movies that we were getting of him during that time period were just amazing, dog. Amazing, man. And DC was just going crazy during that decade, man. Like, I can't explain it, but they were really firing on all cylinders around that time period. Their comics too, man. Their comics were definitely at a stronger point at that time period than they are now. Well, with the exception of the Absolute Universe. The Absolute Universe has just changed the ball game for the comics industry. Everybody's talking about the Absolute Universe, but the 2000s for DC was an amazing decade, bro. The animated shows, the animated movies, the video games, like that decade was the decade where we got the first Batman Arkham game, which would change, video games and, superhero games forever, bro. Batman Arkham Asylum, I feel like it's a very underrated gem because everybody talks about Arkham City or Arkham Knight, but Arkham Asylum, that video game was fire because of how scary it was. And I'm talking in particular about Scarecrow and Killer Croc. That Killer Croc mission back then, it used to scare me playing that motive is where you had to retrieve those, what's it called, for the antidote for poison ivy. Like, it was insane. It was insane doing that whole mission with Killer Croc trying to get you, man. It was too good. But that decade was fire, man. And then we should even talk about all the canceled projects that we could have gotten during the 2000s, like the Flash video game, the Justice League video game, the Superman video game, all those that got canceled, man. Imagine if those games never got canceled, bro. We would be in a whole different timeline where folks would be talking about the next Flash game or the next Wonder Woman video game or the next Superman video game instead of a Batman video game, you know what I'm saying? If those never got canceled. Even the movies too. We were supposed to get 2 movies in the 2000s with the Flash, Wally West. We were supposed to get one of the Justice League, known as Justice League Mortal. That one got canceled, man. That would have been a fire movie with all the stuff we know about that movie, man. Like, so many great stuff was also canceled during that time period. But I should just tell you that all those things got canceled because of the fact that DC was really at a very high point of their history at that time period, man. Like, they were doing so many great things, man. DC Universe Online dropped during that time period too, and it changed the landscape too for superhero video games in general. Like, that game is still around to this day, bro, and people still play it. Of course, it's not as popular as it was back then, but people still play that shit, bro. Like, it's amazing, man. But you guys know your thoughts, bro. Do you guys think that the 2000s was the golden age for DC in everything that they were doing, animation wise, movie wise, comics wise? I certainly believe it was, bro. Like, they were doing a lot of stuff. Of course, there was some weird stuff that they were doing around that time period, like making every character, or I should say every superhero, a villain for no reason, like Mary Marvel. And of course, the stuff they were doing with Supergirl at that time period was weird as hell too. But other than that, bro, a fire decade for DC in general. But yeah, I'll catch y'all for the next yap. Amasi Yaps out.